Jesus, I surrender all to Him I freely.
The 19th of August 1900, Volume 3, Sterile Love and Operative Love. This morning, after I received communion, my beloved Jesus made himself seen in the act of wanting to instruct me, making as though an example he told me, "My daughter, if a young man got married and taken by love for him, his wife wanted to be always with him, without detaching herself for one moment, without caring about the other duties of a wife to make this young man happy, what would he say? He would appreciate her love, but he would certainly not be content with her conduct, because this way of loving would be nothing but a sterile, infertile love, which would bring harm rather than fruit to that poor young man. And little by little this strange love would cause him bother rather than delight, because all the satisfaction of this love is of the young lady. And since a sterile love has no wood with which to nourish the fire, very soon it reduces itself to ashes, because only an operative love is lasting, while other loves fly into the wind like smoke. And then one reaches the point of becoming annoyed and of not caring about and maybe even despising that which one loved so much. Such is the conduct of those souls who care only about themselves, that is, about their satisfaction, about furthers and anything else that pleases them, saying that this is love for me, while it is all their satisfaction. In fact, one can see from their deeds that they do not care about my interests and the things that belong to me, and if what satisfies them is missing, they no longer care about me, and they even reach the point of offending me. Our daughter, only an operative love is that which distinguishes the true from the false lovers. Everything else is smoke. While he was saying this, I saw some people, and it was as if I wanted to pay attention to them, but Jesus distracted me from this by saying to me, "Do not want to meddle in other people's business. Let us leave them alone, because everything has its time. When the time of judgment comes, then will be the time to discern all things, which will be sifted well, so that one will come to recognize the grain, the straws, and the sterile and noxious seeds. Oh, how many things that appear to be grain will be found straws and sterile seeds on that day, worthy only of being thrown into the fire." End of the reading.
1908, Volume 8, The Soul Must Sow Good with Her Whole Being. Having done my meditation on the fact that one who sows good will harvest good, and one who sows vices will harvest evils, I was thinking about what good I could sow given my position, my misery, and inability. At that moment, I felt I was being harvested, and I heard him say in my interior, "The soul must sow good with her whole being, with all of it." The soul possesses a mental intelligence, and she must apply it to comprehend God, to think of good alone, never allowing any bad seed to enter her mind. And this is the sowing of good with the mind, the same with her mouth. She must never sow any bad seed, that is, bad words unworthy of a Christian, but always say holy, useful, and good words. So here is the sowing of good with the mouth. Then with her heart, she must love God alone, desire God, palpitate for him, and tend to him. Here is the sowing of good with the heart. Then with her hands, she must do holy works. With her feet, she must walk after the examples of our Lord. And here is another good seed. On hearing this, I thought to myself, so in my position, I too can sow good in spite of my extreme misery. But I thought of this with a certain fear of the account that the Master will ask of me, whether I have sown well. And in my interior, I heard him repeat, "My goodness is so great that great wrong is done by those who make me known as severe, very demanding and rigorous, Oh, what an affront they give to my love! I will ask for no other account but of the little field given to them, and I will ask for an account for nothing but to give them the fruit of their harvests. I will give it to the intelligence, for the more it has comprehended me in life, the more it will comprehend me in heaven. And the more it will comprehend me, the greater the joy and beatitude with which it will be inundated. To the mouth I will give the harvest of the different divine flavours, and its voice will harmonise above all the other blessed. To the works I will give the harvest of my gifts, and so with all the rest. End of the reading.
The 19th of August 1910, Volume 9. Jesus pours his bitternesses. Fear that it might be the devil. As I was in my usual state, I found myself outside of myself, inside a church, and above the altar there was the Celestial Queen and baby Jesus, who was all in tears. The Celestial Mama, making a sign with her eyes, made me understand that I should take the baby in my arms and do as much as I could to calm him. I drew near him and I took him in my arms. I squeezed him to myself and I said to him, "My pretty little one, what is it? Pour yourself out with me. Isn't love the balm and the alleviation for all your sorrows? Isn't love that which makes one forget everything, that sweetens everything, and pacifies any dispute? If you cry, there must be something discordant between your love and that of the creatures. Therefore let us love each other. Give me your love, and I will love you with your own love." And then who can say all the nonsense I told him? He seemed to stop crying a little bit, but not completely. And then he disappeared. Then the following day again, I found myself outside of myself, inside a garden, and I was following the Via Crucis, way of the cross. And while doing this, I found Jesus in my arms. As I arrived at the 11th station, Blessed Jesus, no longer able to resist, stopped me, and drawing his mouth near mine, he poured something thick and liquid into it. The liquid I was able to swallow, but the thick part would not go down, so much so that when Jesus moved his mouth from me, I had to pour it on the ground. Then I looked at Jesus, and I saw that a liquid thick and pitch black was flowing from his mouth. I was frightened very, very much, and I said to him, "It seems to me that you are not Jesus, Son of God and of Mary, Mother of God, but the devil. It is true that I want you, that I love you, but it is always Jesus that I want, never the devil. With him I want nothing to do. I am content with being without Jesus rather than having anything to do with the devil." And to be more sure, I marked Jesus with the sign of the cross. Then I signed myself. In order to dispel my fright, Jesus withdrew that black liquid into himself, which was impossible to look at, and he told me, "My daughter, I am not the devil. What you see is nothing but the great iniquities the creatures do against me, and which I will pour upon them, for I can no longer contain them. I poured some into you, and you were unable to contain everything, so you poured it to the ground. I will continue to pour upon them." And as he was saying this, he made me comprehend what chastisements he will make rain from heaven. He will wrap the peoples in mourning, in most bitter and harrowing tears. And because of that little bit which he poured into me, he will spare, if not completely, part of our town. Then he showed a great mortality of peoples because of epidemics, earthquakes, and other accidents. How many desolations! How many miseries! End of the reading.
19th of August, 1918, Volume 12. Jesus is tired of the vileness of priests. As I was in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus made himself seen in my interior, as if within a circle of light, and looking at me, he told me, "Let's see, what good have we done today?" And he looked and looked. I believed that that circle of light was his most holy will, and that he was saying so since I had united myself to his most holy will. Then he added, anyway, I am tired of the vileness of priests. I cannot take any more. I would want to finish them. Oh, how many devastated souls, how many of them disfigured, how many idolatrized. To use holy things to offend me, this is my most bitter pain, the most abominable sin, the mark of total ruin, which attracts the greatest maledictions and breaks all communications between heaven and earth. I would want to eradicate these beings from the earth. Therefore, chastisements will continue and will multiply. Death will devastate the cities. Many houses and roads will disappear. There will be no one to live there. Mourning, desolation will reign everywhere. I prayed him again and again. He remained with me for a good part of the night, and he was so in suffering that I felt my heart split with pain. But I hope that my Jesus will placate himself. End of the reading.
The 19th of August 1922, Volume 14. The pains which the divinity inflicted on Jesus in his interior. The pains of the Passion were shadows and similes of the interior pains. As I was in my usual state, my sweet Jesus made me suffer part of his pains and of his deaths, which he suffered for each creature. From my little pains I could comprehend how atrocious and mortal the pains of Jesus had been. Then he told me, my daughter, my pains are incomprehensible to human nature, and the very pains of my passion were shadows or similes of my interior pains. My interior pains were inflicted on me by an omnipotent God, and not one fibre could dodge his blow. Those of my passion were inflicted on me by men who, having neither omnipotence nor all-seeingness, were not able to do what they wanted, nor to penetrate into every single fibre of mine. My interior pains were incarnate, and my very humanity was transformed into nails, into thorns, into scourges, into wounds, into martyrdom, so cruel as to give me continuous deaths, and these were inseparable from me. They formed my very life. On the other hand, those of my passion were extraneous to me. They were thorns and nails which could be driven inside, and eventually they could also be removed. And the mere thought that a pain can be removed is a relief. But my interior pains, which were formed of my own flesh, there was no hope that they might be removed, or that the sharpness of a thorn or the piercing of the nails might be lessened. My interior pains were so great and so many that I could call the pains of my passion reliefs, and kisses given to my interior pains. And uniting together they gave the last proof of my great and excessive love for the salvation of souls. My external pains were voices which called everyone to enter into the ocean of my interior pains, to make them comprehend how much their salvation cost me. And then from your own interior pains communicated by me, you can somehow comprehend the continuous intensity of mine. Therefore, pluck up courage. It is love that pushes me to this. End of the reading. There are no more readings today. Have a blessed day.